Hi, everyone, and welcome to Tremco CPG Live. We're very excited once again to be up in front of you each and every Friday. I am Marcy Tyler, the Director of Building Science for Tremco. And as you know, we have been on the road in the month of June, July, and now we're into August. So we're on the road talking with different individuals, our feet on the street. And this individual that's with me today as my co-host is from a particular city where there's two major league sports teams. So that's probably not very easy to give it away. The next one is they're known for their winter weather. Now that's kind of being a little more specific. And last but not least, which is really going to give it away, is they're known for their wings. So of course, that is the city of Buffalo and my co-host today, Brad Ferris. Brad, welcome to Tremco Live.
Marcy, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm thrilled to be here.
I am so excited. Brad and I are working on a big presentation in October. So we'll be coming actually live into everyone's, into that location. So I'm excited about that capability. But Brad, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Marcy. Couldn't be better.
Great.
How are you?
Good. I am not bad. I'm missing my co-host that has been with me through all these weeks. He is off again this week as well. So we'll get Paul Hugenboom back with us shortly. But Brad, tell me a little bit about yourself and your history in the industry and of course with Tremco.
Sure. Well, Marcy, I've been an architectural representative for Tremco Roofing for a little over 15 years now. Mainly, I live in Western New York and I work Western and Central New York State. Before that, I was with a metal roofing manufacturer for 13 years. So I have 28 years experience in the commercial roofing manufacturing business.
Wow, lots of experience there. I always say it's kind of niche, right? What we do, and I feel like if I stepped away from this industry, I would be like,
I would be lost
I think
away from commercial roofing.
I know.
Entirely.
I would be too. So, have you lived in the Buffalo area the whole time?
Well, graduated from high school and college here, but I was born in Chicago. I've lived all over in New Hampshire. I lived in Canada for a year and a half, all over, but much of the time spent in Western New York.
Calling it home. I was looking it up. So I'm from south of Buffalo, a little town called Olean, but Buffalo, the city of good neighbors. Have you heard that been said before about Buffalo?
Yes, many times over the years, and Buffalo's tremendous. It's turned around so much in the past decade. It's extraordinary. Downtown is beautiful. They're great places to eat, great restaurants. I live just outside the city in East Aurora, about a half an hour southeast of Buffalo. But Western New York is a great place to live and work. It really is.
Yeah. So for those of you who are watching today, if you haven't been to Buffalo, New York, definitely go and check it out. I also wrote down that it's called the Nickel City. Have you heard that expression before?
Honestly, no.
I know, I haven't either. So for those of you guys watching right now, look it up for us. Tell us what that means.
Yeah. Tell me what, the only nickel city I know of is Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, which is 6 hours north of here. So I'm not
so that's
sure where the nickel city comes from.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So one last question, are you a Bills fan? I
am a large Bills fan. Yes, huge Bills fan. And a fair weather Sabres fan.
I truly understand it. So I went to school at University of Buffalo, and so Bills fan through the years. I moved to Cleveland when we didn't have a team. That was the year that the Browns left and went to Baltimore. So it's been hard, but I feel like the Browns fans and the Bills fans, when they come together for a game, everyone's just really friendly.
Usually, yeah, it's been my experience and going to Cleveland to watch Browns games. Same thing. Yeah. I think we get along fine. There's no horrific animosity between Buffalo and Cleveland. No.
Yeah. I have a shirt that is half Browns and half Bills. I made it for the last time there was a home game that we attended here in Cleveland. My sister has the companion shirt because she lives in Cleveland too. So it was kind of certainly a provocative shirt to wear, and certainly we made lots of friends that day because everyone was like, oh my God, half Bills, half Browns. So
that's above and beyond.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm glad you're able to be my co-host today. Part of our topic and bringing you our feet on the street from Buffalo was also to talk to us about something that's very near and dear to us. And it's ESG, so environmental, social, and governance. Brad, as a company, I feel like we've always really been focused on these attributes of being sustainable, being environmental friendly, being social conscious, and of course, governance aspects. But I found some interesting things as well about what's going on in other countries. And this one I thought was pretty interesting. So the Building Performance Institute of Europe actually gives passports for buildings. What do you think about that?
Passports for buildings. So they have to meet certain qualifications in order to be certified and allowed to be opened up. So I could see things moving in that direction in the future. I think it was, I just read this past week that New York City, I think, is going to mandate photovoltaic panels on new construction buildings. So
there's a lot going on in New York City right now as it relates to different types of environmental projects and works like that. Yeah. So it's definitely something that I think we're looking towards. I just think it's interesting, we get our cars checked, we have to get them checked for different types of emissions and things like that. And I think it's time that we start to look at our buildings and their performance for sure.
Absolutely.
It's interesting. So we'll see how that progresses into the U.S. Through the next couple of years. But I also thought it was interesting. Just a couple of different things I was noticing was there's a lot of focus more on residential buildings, right? Like passive house. Obviously it's near and dear to all of us because we're looking at our energy consumption on a regular basis. Somebody once told me, they said, wouldn't it be great if every time you turned on a light, you could see how much money you're spending? So maybe you wouldn't walk out of the room and leave that light on, if it was like ding. Like imagine being in a cab, right, and getting metered, right, as you take that distance.
So you can see it tick off. Yeah, your money tick away. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of really cool topics all about net metering now and what that looks like in your home. And this one's specifically about solar panels. So if you want to check this out, this is kind of interesting. You can actually look at different ways to help offset your electricity bill. This is actually a picture of my house. So you type in your address, you talk about your average monthly electric bill, and then they tell you exactly how many solar panels you would need to be able to offset that. So that's just kind of an interesting thing if people want to check that out.
Did it just automatically add those little photovoltaic panels on your roof?
It did. It did. I thought that was pretty neat. So then it just kind of goes through what your savings would be. So it looks like a pretty long payback period, 9 years and 5 months. So
9 years,
but it, yeah, and the property value,
getting better and better and better and better. I remember doing a payback for a photovoltaic array on a church, and that was probably 13 years ago, and the payback was approaching 100 years, so it didn't quite make sense.
Oh, okay. Well, then that if you look at it in that perspective,
things have changed massively in the last decade.
Yeah, not too bad. So I just thought there's a lot of interesting things, just as you mentioned, if we're staying on top of things, with what you mentioned about New York City, right? So we're looking at ways that we can be, more conscientious about what we do on a regular basis as we live and work. I know at Tremco, like I mentioned, near and dear to us is that focus on environmental and sustainability aspects. I know we had a lot of that in our focus about bio-based products. Tell me a little bit about the AlphaGuard Bio product.
AlphaGuard Bio is a polyurethane fluid applied system. It's two-part, has a part A and a B, and it goes down as usually a primer is applied, fluid applied base coat. Reinforcing fabric can be fully embedded in the field or just at the laps and seams, depends on the system. And then a fluid applied top coat goes down, and that'll go down in a certain mil thickness. But this is a bio preferred fluid applied system that could be used both as a restoration system over a single ply roof or a modified bitumen roof, existing old roofs after diagnostics have been completed, or as a brand new construction or roof replacement system. And AlphaGuard Bio has absolutely zero odor. We have opened this up on paper plates in school board meetings inside to prove to everyone that There is no odor associated with this because the older products that we use for roofing sometimes cause some odor issues. AlphaGuard Bio does not. It's a fantastic system that gets 15, 20, 25, and 30 plus year warranties from it. Long-term watertight warranties, not just quote unquote material warranties, real system warranties. So it's a fantastic system.
Interesting that you say that. I was in one of the architectural presentations from one of your colleagues, Marty Jakovic. Am I saying his last name right? Okay,
yes,
good.
you are.
And he did that in the back of the room. So I was giving my portion of the presentation. I could see him in the back of the room behind all the architects opening something. And I'm like, I wonder what he's doing back there. So, you know, I finished my portion and sat down, and then he got up there and he started doing, I think, a presentation you like to give, all based on roof restoration. And he was like, you might not have noticed what I did back there. I was opening up one of our products that I want to talk to you about today. And it was the bio-based product, and it was amazing because no one could tell.
Yeah, no one would be bothered by it at all. It's a fantastic solution for sensitive environments. You know, K through 12 schools, work and go on while school's in session, healthcare. We use it all over the place. It works so well.
And it's interesting you mentioned, you know, the K through 12 schools. A lot of my girlfriends are teachers, and recently, it was probably about a year or so ago, a teacher had just gotten back to school, getting her classroom all set up, and she could smell something, and it started to make her feel uncomfortable. And so she went outside. She noticed there was work getting done on the roof. And a lot of my friends don't know exactly what I do, but she was like, there's something going on construction-wise. I'm going to give Marcy a call. And so, she was very upset about what they were using up there. And they ended up delaying the start of school just so they could get the smells to dissipate, because they were nervous about, you know, a lot of things have an odor to them, but they're safe. But this one in particular, they just were worried about, you know, people getting headaches or being uncomfortable. So they decided to delay the opening of school. So,
yeah, odor is an important point or component of a product, because it's not just VOC level. Because there are some products that have very low or almost zero VOC level, but still might have an odor burst. And they're not dangerous. They may not be dangerous, but they still can be disturbing. Those conversations have to take place with the design professional and the client before that system is specified.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I know some of the project, the way we talked was that she said it should have gotten done a lot sooner. They had a lot of rain that was causing issues in terms of delaying it. And I know we have options for that too. Maybe they could have used a different product, you know, and not had the same kind of moisture sensitivity and gotten it done quicker before anyone was even at school. So
rain
always
is
other options there.
The good thing about some of these fluid applied systems from Tremco, like AlphaGuard Bio, AlphaGuard Puma, the polyurethane methacrylate system, they cure very quickly. So AlphaGuard Bio is a two-component, two-part liquid system that will cure in 75 degrees very quickly, can cure in half an hour, 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Yeah. So it can take the weather if the weather's coming, you know, the contractors, the foreman, the superintendent just have to be watching the weather. Puma, on the other hand, AlphaGuard Puma, the polyurethane methacrylate system, can be used down to 20 degrees below zero, which can come in very handy in the Northeast, you know, because we lose 45 degrees and rising on average the second week of October.
Wow. And you are the city known for winter weather.
we get a lot of snow occasionally. Depends. Other cities get more, but we apparently get credit for a lot of it. Yes.
I know, right? You get the credit for it, that's for sure. So yeah, lots of great options here, depending on what you're looking at, not only from a performance perspective, but your construction environmental needs, right? And I love how you mentioned that, you know, getting together with the design team, or whoever's involved here, make sure that we're addressing these concerns, especially if it's going to be a sensitive area, like a K through 12 school.
Absolutely. Yeah.
RPM, obviously we as Tremco employees are part of the RPM family. They have a lot of great information as it relates to environmental, social, and governance. I took this from one of their recent presentations that they delivered to the board of directors. And it's all about, you know, how do we take a focus not only in consumer areas, but also in construction, and how do we start to either restore structures, renovate, But the biggest thing is what we can do to prevent demolition waste and what goes to the landfill. So I know that's a key part of your conversation when you're talking to individuals, Brad, about that the great advantage of restoration.
It is. And we haven't focused. We only started focusing on this particular part of the benefits of restoration in the past few years, because usually when we talked about restoration in the past to a client, it was kind of, financially or budget based. We were saying, if you restore a roof instead of replacing it, you can restore the roof and get a 10, 15, or 20-year warranty for anywhere from 30% to 60% of the cost of replacement, which it can be a massive amount of money in some cases, a huge amount of savings. And that's where the focus always used to lie on, really. I mean, since Tremco has been restoring roofs since 1928, they've used bituminous fluid applied resaturants for old gravel built-ups forever. And we're still using some of them today. But lately, as more people are becoming more aware of climate change and the need to, reduce greenhouse gases and things like that, and reduce waste and reduce extra manufacturing and production and shipping costs, then we started to look at our Rich Crawfords of Tremco. Rich Crawford is the high performance building systems manager and an energy engineer. And Rich can take information that we provide to him and turn it around into a nice little report, which shows how much landfill diversion and demolition waste we're avoiding. How much is not being created and torn up and thrown in a landfill on each project that is actually restored. And you have a slide up here of one of the covers of one of Rich's reports. And he can do reports that will dig deep if you have a private client that has multiple buildings or a massive campus or just one good sized building. And he can dive down into how much energy you will actually save from doing a restoration versus a replacement, or perhaps not even a restoration, just a retrofit over an existing roof instead of a replacement. There are many different ways to do it. But I know what's coming up in your next slide, and I just wanted to preface this by saying, we've been doing so many restorations and talking to so many design professionals over the years about restorations that I wanted to come up with a slide that showed all the school districts, and this was focused just on K through 12 clients and the architects who deal with them. All the different school districts, the square footage and the year installed and the type of fluid applied system installed. So I went back 10 years, and this was, I think, February of 2020. I got together with all the sales reps in Western and Central New York. We came up with a full list, and that was about 3.1 million square feet of roofs on K through 12 schools that had been restored. So you see the bottom left there, 3.119 million square feet of existing roofs that were restored. So instead of tearing them off, we inspected them, did the diagnostics on them, which means, doing a moisture survey to determine the amount of wet insulation in the system, pull test perhaps, depending on what type of system it was, to determine what type of fluid applied system could be restored to restore the roofs. We took this list, 3.1 million, gave it to Rich Crawford, and drilled down into the projects, because we have most of the background information on the projects that we completed that were specified Tremco and awarded a Tremco certified contractor and installed. So we could break it down into all these different pieces and parts. You have 60 mil EPDM, PVC roof, modified bitumen built up. All these pieces of this pie chart were components that, instead of being torn off, thrown in a landfill, we saved them, they stayed in place, and we restored the existing roof with a fluid applied system. And then he calculated how much this weighs. Okay, so on that 3.1 million square feet that was not torn off and sent to a landfill, that was 10,400 tons of waste, which is equivalent to however many trucks that is. 1,500 truckloads of landfill debris, or 2,630 cubic yard dumpsters of debris. That's kind of extraordinary. When we show this slide to design professionals, that it's kind of amazing, because then you grasp how much actual waste isn't being thrown out, isn't filling up landfills. You know.
Well, and I love the previous slide. You know, it shows the work you guys did to really truly understand it. So it's not like you're like, I'm going to give an estimate here. I mean, you guys actually have the data that shows.
No, we have the data.
You know, exactly what that equates to in terms of different types of materials that would end up going to that landfill. I know if Paul Hugenboom was here with us, he'd have a lot to comment on here, because I know how excited he is about the whole idea of buying that roof. You're currently buying the last roof you'll ever need to buy, right? Because you're going to be able to restore it and continue to do that, and then avoid sending things off into a landfill.
Absolutely, and that's part of these calculations. That is.
Yeah. And I think that's what's great. What Rich Crawford does, you know, working closely, obviously, with someone like yourself and the other representatives in the state of New York, and giving these visuals too, because I think it really a picture says so much more, right? And in this case, which we don't want to imagine, is that 5-story mountain of landfill debris that would be a result of that if we had not gone through the roof restoration.
75-foot high mountain of landfill debris, to which another outside of Tremco engineer apparently asked Rich Crawford, yes, but it's 75 feet high, but how wide is it? So Richard said, and he had that calculated already, that I believe it's a 22-degree angle of repose. So
oh my goodness.
That's the angle, but a massive amount of debris not gone to landfills because roofs were restored. That's a great story.
Yeah, that's a great story. I know there's some other added benefits that we're getting as well with roof restoration, but there's also the avoidance of greenhouse gases, you know, due to energy savings, as well as that avoided roof replacement.
Correct. So yeah, if you take that 3.1 million square feet and you take all the energy that would be necessary to manufacture and install a new roofing system, you know, raw material extraction, manufacturing, transportation, fuel from power plants is not used, and it's saved when a roof is restored. So that's also what is calculated into this, and what they come up with is 153 million pounds of carbon dioxide saved over a 40-year period. That's extraordinary. Or 14,700 cars driven in a year, or 76 million pounds of coal burned. Yeah. That's really environmentally friendly. Very resilient.
Well, and I think you mentioned this, Brad, that, you know, Rich Crawford works on this. So if, as you're watching right now, if anyone's watching right now and they have questions, just as that one person did when they were like, okay, well, it's 5 stories high, you know, what does that look like, right? Because 5 stories high could be really thin. Yes. So this is where you can absolutely reach out to me, and I can connect you back to the appropriate roofing representative, as well as, you know, they will then connect you with Rich Crawford. But I think this is something that we want to be able to have the opportunity to have that discussion with you. Not only are you going to get an amazing product to restore your roof with, as we mentioned early on, odor-free. You know, a lot of these can be applied in cold weather, pretty rain resistant too, in terms of, you know, getting it down because it's going to set up so quick. But then you have all these environmental benefits as well. Lots of great information to share.
And it's available on every project. You just have to get with your Tremco sales representative and gather the information, and it can be made available to you fairly quickly. You know, very handy.
Very quickly, yeah. Now, I know you mentioned that you look back in time, and this was since I think it was February. So I think we're going to check back in with you, maybe you know, in a couple months when you start to do your calculations. Just from February, I know you've added a lot of roof restoration data that we could add to this.
That was February of 2020. So
February of 2020.
All of last season's roofing projects and all of this season's roofing projects are not in there. So absolutely, in a few months, we'll be updating that entire thing, and the numbers will go way up, and the benefits to society in general get even better, at least to New Yorkers.
Exactly. You know, absolutely. So so check back in with us. We'll definitely get that data from Brad at some point and kind of do an update. As always, submit your questions as well as you're listening to us here today, because we'd love to be able to follow up with you, not only in your questions, but also on the ability to reach out to you specifically to be able to bring this information to you. As Brad mentioned, you know, if you are part of you have a group of buildings, whatever it may be, let us take a look at that for you and let you know what that resultant sustainability benefit could be, as well as the financial savings and performance. I think there's also, I'm sure, some continuing education opportunities there as well, right, Brad?
There are plenty of continuing education opportunities. There's a restoration seminar. There's a fluid applied seminar. I've lost track of how many roofing specific heads. I think we have over 20 AIA, you know, learning unit HS&W seminars that we provide and that I provide to design firms. You know, pre-COVID, it was always in the office. For the last year and a half, it's been webinars, but we provide them all the time, just upon request.
So, yeah, so lots of opportunities there. So definitely, I'm going to give you my email here in the end, as well as just any of you guys paying attention today or listening, you know how to reach out to me via the invitation you got. But also, we just wanted to make sure that you know how focused we are on education. As Brad mentioned, there is a variety of roofing presentations. As we continue on and talk about the environmental, social, governance benefits, we want to also mention the net zero benefits that some of our products can provide as well. A whole system of products that have been brought to us with the construction of insulated concrete forms brought to us by Nudura. That Nudura focuses on a lot of different types of building construction, looking at net zero, looking at net positive opportunities. And I'm so excited because next week, August 25th at 2 p.m., Cody Horvey and I will be presenting on the constructability of these beautiful capabilities with ICF construction. So check us out. As always, there's my email address. If you have any questions for me or Brad, go ahead and send them to me and I'll connect you. And, you know, think of that opportunity. If you want to know more, if you want to learn more about today's topic, we'd be happy to bring that to you. Virtually or live in your office if that's an option. So
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thanks
Brad,
so much.
Thanks so much for being my co-host today. Very excited to have you be a part of it. Will you come back again sometime?
Yes, I will. Happy to be here. Thanks for asking.
That's great. Okay. Thanks so much, and thanks everybody for joining us on Tremco CPG Live.